naturalize certain people within just 3 years of holding a residence permit there. We're going to talk about this. 3 years to me is pretty interesting because it was a long time ago, at least a decade, when Belgium last said 3 years was their minimum for getting citizenship. They had, I think it was 3, 5, and then 7. And depending on your level of integration and how they felt about you, you could get citizenship within those timelines. And what I think is the European Union kind of got together and said, hey, listen, 5 years should be the floor, because basically 5 years is the floor for being naturalized in any number of countries. So Ireland, for example, you can move there, live for 5 years. If you're watching this, you probably already speak English, and you can get their citizenship. Malta, for example, they say it's 5 years. In practice, by a naturalization, it's 18 years, which makes that seven-figure donation route more attractive for someone who can afford that. And so bottom line is all European Union countries naturalize at different paces, but 5 years has kind of become the minimum. And for a nomad capitalist, the question there is, how do you relocate to that country and deal with the taxes? Because some people don't want to or can't relocate. That's why they have golden visas. That's why they have citizenship by investment. That's for the person who can't relocate. If you're willing to relocate and have a plan A, where am I going? Well, you don't want to move to France, for example, where you're going to pay a fortune in taxes. Why would you move yourself and your business all around the world to pay taxes in France? And so Cyprus is speeding up the naturalization timeline for specific people. We'll get to that in just 1 second. And they offer a non-dom program that basically, while you're waiting until you become a citizen, you can take advantage of a very favorable tax regime. So it's favorable to be naturalized in a European Union country that lets you live in any of the other European Union countries, that lets you travel pretty much anywhere in the world, except Cypriots cannot travel to the United States as part of the visa waiver program. And again, while you're putting your time in on the ground, you do not have to pay the 40 and 50% taxes that you would see in much of Europe. All right, so here's the deal. Back in April, Cyprus updated their population registry law. And one of the things that did was provide for a 3-year naturalization period for professionals who learn Greek. So in the Republic of Cyprus, much of the island of Cyprus in the Mediterranean, only Turkey recognizes the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus to the north. So you've got this kind of buffer zone in the middle. But obviously Cyprus says, hey, the whole thing is ours. They speak Greek. And so if you're willing to move there, if you're a professional and you learn Greek, they're willing to give you a European Union passport in 3 years. That can open up a lot of doors for someone who really wants that tier A- passport. You can't go to the U.S. Basically what Cyprus is trying to do is say, we want people who are coming here to be economically established. We want you to have some cash. We don't want you to come here looking for a job. Cyprus has long had a golden visa program. Buy real estate, live here. Focused on retirees, primarily from places like the UK. They also are focusing on cultural integration. We want you to become part of our country. So what they're saying is 3-year track to citizenship, shortest naturalization period in the European Union. And there's a law in Cyprus that says you have to get a decision on your naturalization application in 8 months. Now, other countries in Europe have that. Portugal has that, for example, with the Golden Visa program. The government doesn't follow its own rules all the time, silly. They choose which rules they want to follow. I think that Cyprus has done a decent job. If you look at the Golden Visa, there was a slow track, there was a fast track. And I think they've done a better job than some of the European countries. It's a more pro-business, set up your company, low taxes, non-dom. We want people to come here. So they may well actually follow that 8 months, in which case, 3 years and 8 months from when your residence is granted and you are in Cyprus, you can get that passport. Nobody really talks about how long it takes to actually get approved for the passport. There are some countries where the application just goes into a vortex for years. You never get the passport. We've talked about Panama as an example of that for some time. Malta, we discovered a couple of years ago. Yeah, they say 5 years. Okay, good luck with that. Watch your application go into a vortex. Come back in 13 years, they'll tell you. There was some misinformation around this where I saw one of these flim-flammers saying, oh, you can get citizenship in Cyprus in 8 months. Type a comment and get all the details. Citizenship in 8 months. I even had a friend of mine send this to me. I had a girl who she'd like to get a European citizenship. And she's like, is this for real? And I'm like, yeah, 8 months is the processing time once you've put in the 3 years. So you got to really be careful who you're talking to. So here are the requirements. in the last year, you got to basically spend the full year living in Cyprus. Not the only European country to do that. They'll let you leave for short absences for no more than 90 days. That do not break the continuity, but basically for that year before you're applying, you really need to be living there. And then throughout the entire 3 years, you need to have lawful residence, you need to have a residence permit. And I think they're really pushing, as I said, cultural integration. This is not something to get for, to keep in your back pocket, go for one day. They want you to be there. When you're applying to be naturalized, to get your citizenship, you're going to want to show that you've actually been living there with short absences. And I would argue perhaps that might be, as this unfolds, that will prove to be the more prudent thing to do is make Cyprus your home for 3 years. Now, there are a couple tracks that you can go through. There's a 3-year track, there's a 4-year track, and there's a 7-year track. Those are the amount of years that you need to spend within the.
I spent a month driving around the state. And in between the stops, we checked out all these growing suburbs all over. Take a drive 20 minutes outside of Austin, Dallas, or Houston, and you get into these big, sprawling, expensive suburbs. They're all the rage for new people coming to the state. I wanted to see them up close. I'm going to take some time. I'm going to show you guys all the things I saw when I was here. So you can decide, number 1, do I want to live in an upscale Texas suburb? And 2, what are the best places to live in the country right now look like? Is this where America's middle class is headed? And do all these look like the best places to live in the country to you? Because the internet says Texas suburbs like this are what we all want, what we all need. Now, I'm pretty critical. You know me. I always want to find something to counter with. But you know what? All these Texas burbs are pretty damn cool to me. I get it. A hell of a lot better than a lot of shitty places in our country right now. What is this place? We were just driving around in between suburbs one day. We pulled into McKinney, Texas. Now, this is all part of sprawl land outside of Dallas. I didn't really know much about McKinney, except
No ziema, witam cię.
but damn,
No wstałem właśnie, no.
downtown,
Tak
don't
jeszcze
see.
kurde kawa się, woda się gotuje. To nie już, tylko dopiero. No bo wczoraj musiałem odespać, bo byłem taki zmęczony wieczorem, że Jezu, się dożynki zaczęły już,
No
kurde,
hustle and bustle,
ale było.
smiles on people, it's clean. No bum.
Wariactwo.
I don't think there's been a bum here ever. It's like a perfect slate, untouched. I can see why so many people want to be here.
Śmieszne to wszystko, kurwa, jak patrzę na ten świat, kurde. Do tego czasu doszło, że bratu brata będą zabijać i ten brat będzie udawał, że nie widzi tego. I jeszcze będzie patrzył się przypadkiem, kurwa, drobniakiem mu z kieszeni nie wypadł w tym momencie. Kurwa. Żart jakiś. Fucking joke. Wodę. Cześć, zalać, kurwa. Kurwa, tablicy nalać, rajca. No i co? I kurde, mamy urlop, no. Mam mleko w ręce. Leciutka. Co tu się dzieje, ta leciutka? Ty jak tam? Jak tam w sobotę? Kurczę. Jak tam ten Saturday? Everything okay? Oh, very good. A te 2 tygodnie mam na wybranie, bo to jebać. Do roboty nie będę potrzebował na razie iść. Tutaj mamy. Dopiero wróciłeś w piątki, a nie, w piątki też trzeba pracować, to dopiero z piątku na poniedziałek, a jest niedzieli na poniedziałek masz wolne, co? Dobrze, dobrze. Dobrze, dobrze. A bo to 6:40 dopiero, o kurde. Czekaj, co na targowisko chyba pójdę zaraz. Czy nie iść na targowisko? Niech pomyślę, czy jest po co tam poleść. Chyba nie. Nie ma po co iść na targowisko. 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 O, widzisz, nie wiedziałem, są kable do... Ten komodorowy łączy do stacji dyskietek. Nowe okno. Teraz and what to do.